So today we're going to look at the LED blocks in the microbit. So these give us a number of blocks to manipulate the individual LEDs. So if you think about the microbit, you've got 25 individual LEDs on the front of it, and we can plot those various different LEDs separately. So you have an X and a Y value. The X goes over and back and the Y goes up and down. And you have 0 to 4 in both cases. So 0 to 4 gives you, so if you're looking at column 1, that would be X value 0, column 2 would be X value 1, column 3 would be X value 2, and so on. And then if you look at the rows, so row 0 would give you a Y value, row 1 would have a Y value of 0, row 2 would have a Y value of 1, and so on. So 0, 0 is the top left-hand corner, and 4, 4 is the bottom right-hand corner. And then when you plot an X and Y value, that turns on a particular LED, and that will stay on until you unplot it or clear the screen. So that's something you need to think about. If you're going to plot an LED value, then that will turn that LED on. If you want to turn it off, you have to specifically do that either by clearing the screen or unplotting it. There's also a toggle block, and that allows you to switch the LED on if it's off and vice versa. So if it's on, it'll turn it off. If it's off, it'll turn it on. And that's just the toggle block, and we'll have a look at that. You can get the status for a specific LED, and that will be set to true if it's switched on and false if it's not. You can change the brightness, and the brightness values you can put in are the values 0 to 255. Now there are other blocks in there as well within LEDs. We'll look at a project and have a look at some of these and how you can use them. So in the project, we're going to create a new project, and when the microbit is shaken, we're going to toggle the LED at 2, 2. So remember, that is X value 2, Y value 2, and that's right in the middle of the screen. So if it's on, it'll turn it off. If it's off, it'll turn it on. The other thing we're going to do is when the A button is pressed, we're going to turn on the LED at 1, 3. We're going to turn on the LED at 4, 3. We're going to turn on the LED at 0, 4, and then we're going to pause for half a second and turn off all of the LEDs. So let's have a go at trying that, and then we'll look at what we do when the B and A plus B buttons are pressed. So here we're going to make a new project. So at the start, we're going to get rid of those two, and then we're going to say when it's shaken. And again, now we want to go to these LED blocks. So if we click on here, you can see that you've got plot, unplot, toggle, point, and then you can plot a bar graph, and there's some other ones in here as well. So you can have a look at those. So we want to toggle. So I'm just going to pull across toggle, and I'm going to put in 2 for X and 2 for Y. So now if I shake it, you'll see it turns it on, because it was off. Now I shake it again, it turns it off. Shake it again, it turns it on. Shake it again, it turns it off. So now when we press the A button, remember we want to plot a couple of different LEDs, and then we want to do a pause, and then we want to turn them off again. So we're going to plot, so if I go to LEDs here, we're going to plot X value 1. And you can use the slider here to change your X value, and then we're plotting Y value 3. So this is going to, so remember X is our columns. Now I'm shaking it, so it's just plotting that middle one. I'm actually going to just pull that out for a second so that it doesn't impact on our testing of the A button pressed. So if we look at it here, we've got X equals 1 and Y is equal to 3. So X equals 0 is the first column, X equals 1 is the second column, and so on. Y equals 0 is the first row, Y equals 1 is the second, 2 is the third, and 3 is the fourth row. So this should plot the point just here. There's 1, 3. So if I press the A button now, that's exactly what it's showing, and you can see the 1, 3 there. The next one we want to plot, I'm just going to duplicate this. So the next one we want to plot is 4, 3. So we're staying on the same row because our Y value is the same, and we're just moving into a different column. So if I press A now, it's printing it's showing, turning on 1, 3 and also 4, 3. And then the final one that I want to plot is 0, 4. So X is 0, so that's the first column, and Y is 4. So let's see where that one is. So it's the first column and it's the last row. So there's 0, 4. So that's just plotting individual LEDs. So you can access individual LEDs. Now I'm going to pause for half a second and then we're going to unplot those again. Because remember, they stay on until you turn them off. So I'm just going to click on 500 milliseconds and that's my half a second. And then I'm going to go to unplot here, LED unplot. And I'm going to unplot 1, 3. And I'm going to duplicate that and I'm going to unplot 4, 3, and finally I'm going to duplicate that and I'm going to unplot 0, 4. So now when I press the A button, it's showing the 3 of them and then turning them off again. So it's plotting them and then pausing and then turning them off again. So I'm just going to pause for 2 seconds here, just so you can see them a little bit better. So turn on, pause, turn off, turn on, pause, turn off. Now if I go back up here and put the toggle back in on the shake, when I shake it now, turns it on, turns it off, turns it on, turns it off. If I press the A button, but if I also shake it, you'll see sometimes when you just shake the microbit, so if I do the A and I'm shaking it, you'll see them all coming on. So just be aware of that and maybe just take out that block so that you can properly test what it is that you're testing. So that's the on shake and the on button A pressed. So those are both coded now and tested. So now we'll have a look at what we want to do when we press the B button and also the A plus B button. So we now want to code the B button. We pull across on button A pressed and we make it on button B. We're going to go to basic here, and if you click on more, there's a clear screen and that just clears everything. And then we want to repeat 5 times. So we're going to use a loop here. So it's just using loops with LEDs. So we're going to repeat 5 times. And what we want to do is we want to go to LED here, and if you click on more, you see you can set the brightness here. So I'm just going to pull that across. So remember, we want to pick a random brightness and we're going to go to math here and we're going to pick a random from 0 to 255. So that's just going to change the brightness each time. And then we want to pick a random X and Y position. So we're going to go to LEDs again and we're going to plot. And for the X, we go to math again and we go down and we pick our random. And this time we're picking a random 0 to 4. And for the Y, we're also going to pick, I'm just going to duplicate that because it's the same code. So for the Y, we're also going to pick random 0 to 4. And then I'm going to pause for 1 second. Now again, you can put in shorter or longer pauses depending. So I'm going to pause for 1 second. So now if I test this code, if I press the B button, so you can see the brightness is changing. So it's doing that. Now it's only shown 4 there. We'll talk about that in a second. It's going to pause. So I'm going to press it again and then it's showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this time. Press the B button again. Again, the brightness is changing. 4. So this time it's only shown 4. I've pressed it again. The brightness is changing each time. So this time it's only shown 3. And this time it's shown 5. So you might ask, well, you're repeating it 5 times. Why does it not plot the 5 different LEDs each time? What's actually happening is it is actually plotting them, but because it's picking random 0 to 4 for both X and Y, sometimes there's an overlap. So it might plot the same LED twice, and we don't have anything in there to check to see is the LED already switched on. So that's why sometimes you might get 3, sometimes you'll get 4, sometimes you get 5. So that's just a little bit of a quirk of the fact that we're just picking random 0 to 4. So that has the Shake, so let's just go back and check. So the shake is toggling that middle one, and now notice because the middle one was on, it leaves everything else because we haven't cleared the screen. So that's something we might think about on the shake. Maybe we need to put in a clear screen or something like that, or put in a clear screen after the button B pressed. If we go for the A, now again, because we haven't cleared the screen on A, it's actually just showing them and then turning them off again, but the clear screen. So it's useful sometimes to just have a clear screen. So maybe we should go back to A and just put in a clear screen again. Sorry, I need to go into more here and just put in a clear screen. So now if I press the A button, just restart, press the A button, and it prints them, or plots them and then turns them off again. If I press the B button, it's just randomly changing the brightness each time and then plotting. But it's not clearing the screen at the end. If I do the A now again, it turns them on, turns them off again. And now if I do the shake. So again, these are the things that you need to test to see how is it working. Is it working as you want it to work? Now the final thing that we have to do in this project is to turn on each LED one by one. So we're going to go back to input, and I'm going to go on button A plus B pressed. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to have two different variables, one for the X position and one for the Y position. At the start, I'm going to clear my screen, and then I'm going to create two variables. I'm going to call one X pos, and I'm going to call the second Y pos. So if I click OK on that, so now I have X position and Y position. And I'm going to go to loops and I'm going to repeat 5 times. So here, if I just go down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot X position and Y position. So if I go to LEDs here, I'm going to plot, and instead of X0, Y0, I'm going to go to variables. Now what I need to do first is I need to set the Y position to 0, and I also need to set the X position to 0 at the start. So I'm setting them both to 0, and that is to allow me to turn on 0, 0 here. So if I now pull in X position as the first one and Y position as my second, and then if I change X position by 1 each time, so what should happen when I press the A and B, and I'm going to test this in a second, it should actually turn on each LED one after the other. I'm just going to put in a little bit of a pause so we can see it happening bit by bit. So I'm just going to pause for maybe half a second each time. So now if I press the A plus B button, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that's my first row. And that is simply with this code here. What I now need to do is I need to put another loop around that. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to put another loop around it. And this time I'm just going to repeat 5 again, because now I need to move through the rows. So I've done the first row, and that was where Y position is 0. Now what I need to do is, after doing this, I need to reset my X position. So I'm going to set X position to 0 here. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller so you can see all the code together, because it's important that you can see all the code together. So here we can set the X position back to 0 because I want to come back here to column 0 again. And then I can change my Y position by 1 because that's going to move on to the next row. And that should now work as I want it to. So there's our code in its entirety. So let's test it and see. So it's doing row 1, then it's doing row 2, now it's doing row 3, row 4, and finally row 5. And I'm just doing that by changing my, so the first time around, Y position, X and Y position are 0. So in this inner loop here, the X position is changing, but the Y position is staying the same. So that allows us to move along the columns. Then in the outer loop here, we reset our X position back and we change our Y position by 1. So we move down along the rows, and we keep doing that 5 times. And then when it gets to the end, then we have them all plotted. So that should hopefully help you to work through some LED blocks.